So, as I mentioned, we'll start off in whatever position is most comfortable for you. You could be seated or you could be laying down. You could be using some kind of prop if you wanted to. Once you feel that you've chosen the right position, we'll take a moment to settle into it, noticing each place where your body touches down on the ground or some other kind of support. Again, whether that's a prop or maybe even another part of your body. At each place where you touch down, acknowledge that support that's beneath you and allow yourself to settle into that support. Maybe allowing yourself to get a little bit heavier at each point of contact and noticing how the support beneath you is holding you up, how it's pressing you back up, even as your body presses downward. And take a moment to scan through the body and look for any areas where you're holding on to tension, holding on to strain. And imagine those areas softening, releasing, relaxing, consciously letting go of that tension. If they're open, maybe closing your eyes or letting your gaze soften downwards. Taking a moment to release your jaw, allowing your tongue to fall away from the roof of your mouth. And then, without trying to change anything, let's bring some awareness to our breathing. Noticing how your body feels as you breathe in and how it feels as you breathe out. And again, tuning in, noticing any areas where you feel tightness or tension. Noticing any areas maybe where the breath feels a bit stuck. And as you inhale and exhale, notice the pace and depth of your breath. As you're inhaling, are you taking a full, complete inhale, filling up the lungs and allowing the belly to rise? And as you exhale, are you softening and letting all of that air empty back out? Really slowing it down and taking the time to fill up completely and empty completely. As you inhale, maybe finding a sense of lightness in the body. And as you exhale, finding some heaviness sinking down into those supports beneath you. And continuing to focus on your same slow, steady breath, finding something that's sustainable. So if you feel like taking those deep breaths is a little bit challenging, it's a little bit of work for you, maybe soften it a little bit. Finding a slow, sustainable breath, and then starting to invite a little bit of movement through the fingers and the toes. Maybe circling wrists and ankles if that's available to you. And perhaps turning the head from side to side. And bring everything back to stillness. And if you're not there already, make your way onto your back on your mat. Moving any props off to the side. And then drawing knees in towards the chest. Wrapping hands either around shins or hamstrings and gently rocking from side to side. Taking your time here. Noticing how your weight transfers as you rock side to side. Feeling one half of your back connect with the ground more deeply and then the other. Maybe your legs are touching down on the front of your body. Noticing the connection there, noticing how the weight shifts. And then let's release the arms out into a T shape or cactus arms. And we'll let the knees rock all the way over to the left side of the body, touching down on the ground. And twisting open towards the right side. So the right shoulder is anchoring down. The right arm is heavy. And we'll look over towards the right elbow or fingertips. From here, we have a few different options. If you feel you're comfortably able to anchor down through the right shoulder, we'll focus on sinking those knees down and stacking the knees one on top of the other. If your right shoulder keeps trying to lift up, you can bring your right arm across the front of your body, settle your knees down one on top of the other, and then work towards opening the shoulder towards the floor. You can choose if you want to support your knees by placing a cushion below or between them, or a block if you have a block. And as we inhale here, let's feel the expansion of the rib cage. Maybe you notice that you want to come out of the twist just slightly as you inhale. And then use the exhale to soften down. Find another square millimeter of body to place on the ground, getting heavier through the upper back, through the arms, the shoulders, and getting heavier through the legs. And taking one or two more slow, deep breaths on this side. And then when you're ready, on an exhale, drawing all the knees all the way back up through center and over towards the right, letting them drop down onto the ground. And again, two different ways of doing this twist. If your shoulder and your knees rest comfortably on the floor, fairly comfortably on the floor, and you can anchor down through the left shoulder, going ahead and getting a little bit heavier there, maybe looking over towards the right fingertips, and then gradually working your knees towards stacking and sinking. And if the left shoulder doesn't comfortably rest down, you can choose to look straight up or even over towards the right. And you can bring the left arm back across the front of the body, drop the knees all the way down, let the left shoulder lift up, and then gradually work towards laying that left shoulder back down again. Both options are good options. It just depends how you're feeling today. So picking whichever one works for you. Remember, you can always support your knees with cushions or block if you have a block. And then we'll settle into that rhythm of the breath, filling up as we inhale. And then softening and relaxing as we exhale. Taking one or two more slow, deep breaths here. And then when you're ready on an exhale, draw both knees back up through center. And we'll keep the right knee hugging in towards the chest. We'll release the left leg out. So you can either place the left foot on the floor with the knee bent, or you can extend that left leg all the way out onto the mat. We'll flex at the right ankle. If the left leg is extended, flex at the left ankle as well. So all the toes are drawing back towards the shin. And as we inhale, we'll focus on the left leg. If the leg is extended, pressing out through the left heel, straightening the leg. And if the leg is bent, pressing down equally through the ball of the foot and the heel. As we exhale, let's draw that right knee in towards the chest. So inhaling, focusing on lengthening, focusing on the left leg. Exhaling, focusing on softening, drawing that right knee in. Keeping the shoulders heavy on the ground and allowing the chin to tuck down slightly, lengthening the back of the neck. And work with your breath to make your way into the pose. Okay, let's let that side go. If it's not bent already, we'll bend the left leg and place the left foot on the floor. We'll release the hands from the right leg and cross the right ankle over the left thigh. Let's flex those right toes and press the right knee away. Checking in here, if you already feel a stretch in your outer right hip or your glutes, you can stay where you are. If you don't feel it yet and you want to move into a deeper variation, you can lift your left foot off the floor, thread your right hand in between your legs, and wrap both hands around the back of the left hamstring. Either pausing with arms fully extended, focusing on flexing at the right ankle and pressing that right knee away, or maybe bending the elbows slightly, drawing that left knee in a little bit closer. Wherever you are, again, letting the upper body be relaxed and heavy. We'll breathe in, fill up with air, and breathe out, release, and soften. And let's let that side go. We'll place the left foot back down onto the ground if it's not there already. Let's take the arms out into a T shape. Keeping the outer right ankle connected with the top of the left thigh. We'll take a nice deep breath in, and as we exhale, let's let the left knee and right foot fall over towards the left side of the mat. Again here, sinking down through the right shoulder if that feels available to you. If it's not quite comfortable, you can let that right shoulder lift up, crossing your right arm over the front of the body. Some options here for the leg. Usually, if your right knee is falling in towards your body, it's a little bit less intense of a stretch. If you press that right knee away, it tends to deepen it. So, playing with the position of your leg, finding something that works for you. And I'll be here for just a couple of breaths. Allow yourself to fully fill up as you inhale and fully release as you exhale. And let's bring those knees all the way back up to center. We'll place the right foot down beside the left. And then we'll do that same sequence on the other side, starting with drawing the left knee in towards the chest. We'll wrap our hands either around shin or hamstring. You can leave your right leg bent, or you can extend your right leg out onto the ground. And as we inhale here, we'll focus on the right leg, either straightening or pressing the ball of the foot and heel down into the floor. And then exhaling, drawing the left knee in. Maybe noticing if you feel any difference between right side and left side of the body. And allowing yourself to focus on the flow of your breath, the path that the breath takes as it moves in and out of the body. Taking one or two more final deep breaths on this side, allowing yourself to move into your deepest variation of the pose. And then if it's not bent already, bending the right leg, placing the right foot down onto the floor. We'll release the hands from the left leg and cross that left ankle over the right thigh. And start here by flexing the right ankle, left ankle, and pressing the left knee away from the body. And then take a moment to check in here, noticing any sensation in the left glutes, outer left hip. If you're already feeling it, you can stay where you are. And if you don't feel it just yet, you can lift your right foot up off the floor, thread your left hand in between your legs, and wrap both hands around the back of those right hamstrings. Whichever position you're in, you can continue to work the left knee away from the body. If your right leg is up off the ground, you can choose to leave your arms long and extended, or you can fold the elbows and start to draw that right knee in. Again, only if you need to move deeper. Being mindful that you want something that feels like a gentle sensation, a gentle stretch. So you can really give yourself the time to breathe into it, ease into it. Taking a moment to check in on the upper body, making sure that the shoulders, neck, and head are relaxed. Maybe gently tucking the chin down towards the chest if you notice it lifting up towards the ceiling. And connecting the back of the body with the ground. From here, if the right leg is lifted, let's release it back down onto the floor. We'll take the arms out into a T shape or a cactus arm. Take a nice deep inhale at center. And then as we exhale, let's let the right knee and sole of the left foot come down towards the right side. Taking a moment to assess where you're at on this side. If you notice your left shoulder is lifting up quite a bit, bring that left arm across the front of the body and let the left shoulder lift up. Focus on pressing down through the left foot. If you're able to connect both your left foot and your left shoulder with the ground, Anchor down equally through both and maybe look over towards the left fingertips. Breathing in, finding length all along the left side of the body, and then breathing out, again, finding softness. You can work on pressing the left knee away from the body down towards your right foot. And check in at each place where you touch down on the ground. Find yourself softening a little bit more with each breath out. And let's release, bringing those knees all the way back up. We'll place the left foot down beside the right. We'll take the feet a little bit wider than hip distance apart, maybe as wide as the mat. With the arms out into our cactus shape, we'll take an inhale at center. As we exhale, let's let both knees fall to the left. And then back up through center as we inhale. Both knees fall to the right on the exhale. We'll use our inhale to take us all the way back up to center and exhale to one side or another. And if you'd like, you can turn your gaze in the opposite direction of your knees. As your knees come down on the right, looking left. And as your knees come down on the left, looking right. Making this a slow, mindful movement. Again, noticing the transfer of your weight as you breathe and as you move. Notice what you feel in your feet, your knees, your hips, and your back as you shift from side to side. And then bringing the knees all the way back up to center. Let's make our way up to a seated position, either rolling over to one side and pressing up or rolling along the length of the spine. We'll come all the way up to a seated position and we'll make our way right away into a bound angle. So plant the feet on the floor in front of us, let the knees fall open to the sides. And then we'll hold either onto the feet or ankles or we'll tent our hands back behind us. And we'll start up here, lifting up nice and tall, drawing shoulders down and back. We'll lengthen up through the crown of the head and root down equally through the sitting bones. As we inhale, we'll focus on that lengthening. As we exhale, maybe folding forward slightly. Wherever you're at, you can work on drawing your knees down towards the floor. And focus on expansion, creating space as you inhale. Softness, release as you exhale. And let's come all the way back up. We'll extend the right leg out in front of us, keeping the left foot tucked in. We'll flex at the right ankle so the toes draw back towards the shin. And then we'll tent our fingers back behind us to lift up a little bit more tall. Take a nice deep breath in and notice how the back of your leg feels in this position. If you're already feeling a stretch through the calf or the hamstrings, you might want to stay here. If you're not feeling it just yet, you might want to hinge at the hips, leaning forward. You Either leave your hands back behind you for support, or you can walk them out in front of your body, placing them on your leg or somewhere on the ground. Take a moment to check in at the left hip. If you notice that that leg is really active, maybe that left knee is lifting up off the floor, see if you can soften and release it. And make the focus just on the right leg. As you inhale, you might come out of the stretch a little bit, lifting up as you lengthen the spine. And then as you exhale and hinge at the hips, you might find you're able to fold a little bit deeper. Each time you breathe in, creating some room for yourself, and each time you breathe out, finding some softness. And use the alternating breaths to tune into where you are in the stretch. If you notice that your breath becomes a bit shallow or short, or your discomfort becomes more, you might want to take a little bit out of the stretch, make it a little bit more gentle. And if after a few breaths you're finding the sensation is less, you might be able to move a little bit deeper. Really using those cues to guide your position. Okay, let's walk it all the way back up, and we'll switch sides, extending the left leg out in front and bringing the right foot in. We'll tap the fingers back behind us to start off with, lifting up tall, anchoring down through both hips. Take a nice deep breath in, and if it's available to you, on the exhale, hinging forward. Maybe walking your hands out in front of your body, or maybe leaving them back behind you for support. Let's take a moment to draw the shoulder blades together and down the back, broadening the collarbone, making some space across the chest. And then with each inhale, lengthen crown of the head away from the tailbone. With each exhale, maybe hinge a little bit more deeply, or maybe just find a sensation of softening. Working with your breath and with time to gradually find more space in the pose. And let's release. We'll start to walk the hands back up towards the body. Let's turn the right knee up to face the ceiling, and then we'll cross the right foot over the left thigh. You can have that right foot close to your left knee, or you can bring it in closer to the body, whatever's more comfortable for you. And we'll use this leg to help us come into a twist. We'll start by wrapping the left arm around the right leg, and then placing the right hand down either behind or beside us. We'll press into that right hand, sit up nice and tall. And then as we exhale, let's draw the right shoulder back and open towards the right side of the room. Maybe looking over the right shoulder towards the back wall. We'll breathe in, pressing down, lengthening, and breathe out, twisting, softening. Taking 3 slow, deep breaths here. And then when you're finished your 3 deep breaths, coming all the way back to center. And once you reach the center, pausing for a moment, You can wrap both arms around your right leg, sitting up nice and tall. And then we'll tuck that right leg a little bit further back towards tucking the foot back towards the outside of the left hip. You can leave your left leg extended, or you can bend the knee and bring that left foot back towards the right hip as well. We'll anchor down equally through both sitting bones, moving any flesh out of the way. And we'll sit up nice and tall. This might be enough for you. So you can choose to stay here or with your leg extended if that's where you're at. If you wanted to add in some arms, you could take your right hand straight up towards the ceiling. We'll bend the right elbow, bringing the hand down towards the base of the neck. And then we'll take the left hand onto the right elbow and guide it inwards. You can choose to leave your left hand here, or you can sweep it out to the side, down towards the floor, and then bend the elbow, reach those left fingertips back up towards the right hand. And as we breathe in, we'll lift up tall. As we breathe out, find a little bit of softness. If you're feeling really flexible today and you're not really feeling the stretch in your hips yet, you might hinge forward. Continuing to anchor down through both sitting bones. So as soon as you feel those sitting bones start to lift up, bring it back. And then we'll release the arms and uncross the legs, taking the right leg all the way out. We'll take the left foot onto the floor, knee pointing up, and then we'll cross that left foot over to the outside of the right knee. From here, we'll start again with our twist, wrapping the right elbow around the left leg, and then planting the left hand behind us. We'll press into that left hand to sit up tall, and then as we exhale, we'll start to draw the left shoulder back, maybe looking over the left shoulder towards the back wall. As we breathe in, we'll press down, lift up, and as we breathe out, soften and open. One more deep breath here. And then we'll unwind, coming back to center. We'll tuck the left heel back towards the right hip. And you can either leave your right leg extended, or if you want to, you can bend the knee and place your right heel just outside of your left hip, so that the knees are stacking one over the other. And you can choose to stay here, focusing on the legs and the hips. Or if you'd like to add in some arms, you can extend your left arm straight up towards the ceiling, bend the elbows so that the fingertips come down to the base of the neck. And then maybe take the right hand onto the left elbow to guide it inwards. Leaving your right hand where it is, or maybe releasing it out to the side, down towards the ground, and then bending the elbow, reaching up towards the other hand. And here we'll breathe in, root down through the sitting bones, lift up through the crown. Breathe out and soften through the legs, soften through the hips. Let's release that side. We'll take the arms back down and we'll uncross the legs. Let's take the hands back behind us, feet out in front of us about hip distance apart, and we'll gently shift those knees from side to side. Taking your time, rocking gently. And then we'll bring it back to stillness, and let's make our way up into our tabletop position, coming onto our hands and our knees on the mat. If you need any extra support under your hands or your knees, you can fold your mat in half, or you can roll the front of your mat to place your palms onto. Let's take a moment here to roll through cat and cow. As we inhale, lowering the belly down, drawing shoulders back and looking ahead. And then as we exhale, rounding the spine, spreading shoulders and looking back to the knees. Go back and forth between those two just a few times. Breathing in to lengthen the front of the body in cow pose, and breathing out to lengthen the back of the body in cat pose. And let's come all the way back to a neutral tabletop. From here, let's take the right hand in towards the center of the mat. We'll step the right foot just outside that right hand. Let's turn the toes slightly open to the side so they're pointing towards the top right corner of the mat. And we'll stack the right knee over the right ankle. From here, we'll make our way into lizard pose. So you can stay where you are. If you're already feeling a stretch, maybe along the inside of the right leg or through the right hamstrings, this is a good place to stay. Left front of the left hip might be another spot. If you're not feeling it there yet, you might start to slide your left leg back behind you, planting your knee and your foot a little bit further back. You can choose to stay here with hands resting on the floor, or if it's available to you, maybe bringing yourself down onto your elbows. I'm not there today, so I'm going to stay up with my hands. But if anyone is, you're welcome to that. And then another final option is to move that right knee open to the side. If you want, you can come onto the outer right edge of the right foot, letting the inner sole lift up off the ground. Take a couple of slow, deep breaths here. In through the nose, out through the nose. Breathing all the way down the length of the spine and then back up. And then if you've tilted that right knee open to the side, we'll bring it back in. And we'll heel toe that right foot in, moving the right hand outside of the right foot. So now the right foot is going to be towards the center of the mat. And the right hand is going to be planted on the floor. From here, let's tuck those left toes under and lift the left knee up off the floor. And take a moment just to press back through the left heel, finding a gentle stretch along the back of the left leg. If you need to adjust the distance between your feet, you can. Taking one or two slow, deep breaths here. Maybe feeling a stretch along the front of the left hip or through the back of the left leg. And then we'll lower that left knee back down, untuck the toes. Move our hands a little bit further forward and let's start to heel toe that right foot even further over towards the back of the left wrist. We'll let the right knee come down just behind the right hand. You can let your foot slide in closer to your body if that's more comfortable. Keep a little bit of activity through the ankle, flexing the toes back towards the shin. And then we'll find the most comfortable pigeon pose that's available to you. So you might need to slide your left knee back a little bit further or forward a little bit further. If you're not comfortable in pigeon pose, another option is to roll all the way over onto your right hip and draw your left knee forward so it's out at the side. And then place your hands down on the floor again. So the options here are the same as in our lizard pose. You can stay upright on your hands, or you can come down onto your elbows. Or if it's comfortable for you, you can come down even further, resting your forehead on the ground. There's a tendency in this pose to start to gather attention through the jaw, through the neck, through the shoulders. If you notice that you're tensing up there, see if you can consciously relax, release. Allow your focus to be on your hips, on your legs. And on your breath. Let's take 5 more slow, deep breaths here. And whenever you're done your 5 breaths, rolling all the way over onto the right hip and then taking both legs out in front of you. We'll take a moment to bend through knees and bend through ankles. Shift the feet from side to side. Notice any differences from one side of the body to the other. And then when you're ready, we'll make our way back up into our tabletop position, coming onto hands and knees, and we'll do the same sequence on the other side, balancing everything out. So we'll start by taking the left hand in towards the center of the mat, and we'll step the left foot just outside the left hand. Again, pointing those toes slightly open to the side, maybe towards the top left corner of the mat. Start by stacking the left knee over the left ankle. And then we'll look to see how we feel here. Looking for a stretch maybe along the left hamstrings or the front of the right hip. If you're already feeling it where you are, you can stay there. And if you don't feel it just yet, you can start to slide that right knee back a little bit further. Again, just until that point where you start to feel the stretch. Nothing too intense here. Option to stay up on your hands or maybe come down onto your elbows. Again, only if you're not feeling the stretch in the upright position. And then option, just for a little bit of something different, you can tip your left knee out to the side, coming onto the outside edge of the left foot and lifting the inner left sole. So that one feels just a little bit different for me. It's not necessarily more intense or left intense. I just feel it in a different spot. So playing around and seeing what works for you. And then pausing again for just a few slow, steady breaths. Good. If the left knee is tipping out, let's bring it back in. And we'll walk the left foot towards the center of the mat, taking the left hand just outside of the left foot. From here, we'll tuck our right toes under and lift the right knee up and then press back through the right heel, finding a stretch maybe along the front of the right hip or back of the right leg. Taking a nice slow inhale and nice slow exhale. And then we'll lower that right knee back down and untuck the toes. Move the hands a little bit further forward and we'll heel toe the left foot over towards the right arm. We'll settle the left knee down just behind the left wrist. You can let your foot come back in closer to your body to make the stretch a little bit less intense for your left hip. And then you can adjust your right leg, moving either further back or further forward to find a position that's comfortable for you. Another option, if you don't feel comfortable in the full pigeon pose, is to roll over onto your left hip and then bend the left knee, bringing it up beside you before placing your hands back down on the floor again. One side of the body might feel completely different from the other. So where you might have chosen one option on one side, you might need something completely different on the other. Take a moment to find the one that works for you. You can either stay more upright with hands planted on the floor, or you can walk yourself down onto your elbows, or even further if it's comfortable for you. Allowing yourself to settle into your breathing, settle into the shape. Remember, at any time, if it becomes uncomfortable, you can always come out early. If you are comfortable to stay where you are, we'll try for 5 slow, steady breaths. And then again, we'll roll over onto the left hip and swing the legs out in front of us. Once you are in that upright position again, taking some time to bend through knees, bend through ankles, shift feet side to side. From here, let's flex at the ankles, drawing the toes back towards the body as we straighten out through the legs, pressing the heels forward, pressing the backs of the knees down. You can rest your hands on your thighs or on the ground beside you, and we'll focus on lengthening out through the crown of the head, rooting down through the sitting bones, and dropping the shoulders down and back for a moment in Dandasana pose. Taking 1 or 2 breaths here. And then we'll extend our arms out in front of us, making sure there's room behind you to lay down. Take a nice deep breath in and then slowly roll all the way down onto the ground. If rolling down is uncomfortable for any reason, you can come down in a different way. And then once you're all the way down on the ground, let's take the right knee in towards the chest. We'll take the right arm out to the right side. Place the left hand on the right knee. And then guide that right knee across the body, coming into a twist. You can shift your upper body slightly towards the left to line up your spine. And then again, same options as the twist earlier. You can either have your right shoulder anchoring down, maybe looking over towards the right side and allowing gravity to act on your right leg. Or you can bring your right leg all the way down, let your right shoulder lift up, and then focus on drawing that right shoulder back down. And with each inhale, allowing yourself to fill up, maybe coming out of the twist just slightly. And then as you exhale, let gravity assist you to sink a little bit deeper. From here on an exhale, let's take that right knee all the way back up to center. Extend the right leg out onto the ground. Realign the spine. And then draw the left knee up, stacking it over the left hip. Take the right hand onto the left knee and the left arm extending out to the left side. We'll inhale here and then exhale, guide the left knee across the body. You might shift your shoulders slightly to the right to line up the shoulders over the hips. And then either anchoring down through left shoulder and left arm or left knee. And working the other part of the body down towards the floor just a little bit at a time. You might gaze over towards your left fingertips if that's comfortable on your neck. And we'll breathe in to create space. Breathe out to find softness. On an exhale, let's release, bringing that left knee all the way back up. And we'll release into Final Shavasana or any other position you'd like to rest in. If you're in Shavasana, taking your heels down towards the top corners of your mat and letting your toes rock open to the side. Drawing the shoulders down the back and then extending the arms out alongside the body and gently tucking the chin. Taking a moment to settle into whatever position you've chosen. Finding any props that you might need. And then we'll scan through the body and again look for any areas where you're holding on, where you feel tension, just as we did at the start of the class. Noticing if those areas have changed or if they're the same for you. Offering yourself a little bit of love in those areas, a little bit of conscious release. If you are still focusing on controlling your breath, letting that go too. Allowing it to return to its own natural, comfortable rhythm. Allowing yourself a few moments here just to be, just to rest. Let's start to deepen the breath once again, taking the next inhale a little bit more deeply into the body and exhaling completely. We'll start to invite a little bit of movement back into the fingers and the toes, maybe circling wrists and ankles, and perhaps turning the head from side to side. We'll bring the body back to stillness. If you are laying on your back, taking a moment to gather your knees in towards your chest and roll over onto one side of the body. Using your lower arm as a pillow and taking pause. And from there, slowly making your way up to whatever seated position is most comfortable for you. Taking some time to ground equally through both sides of the body so that you're able to sit up tall and strong. Bring your hands together in front of the heart. Thank you for joining me and allowing me to guide you through this practice. From my light to yours, namaste.